So, what makes Pyromancer plus Beamstaff so effective and such a great combination? Um, a lot of people have been avoiding Beamstaff lately because many of you may remember that it was nerfed a few patches ago. But the reality is that it is still super effective. Um, so you also know that Unchained was buffed, and so you see a lot of people playing with Unchained in recent times. Pretty much, I don't know, but 80% of people that I've played with that go on Sienna have gone on Unchained, and even some people on Battle Wizard. And to be honest, all three classes or subclasses for Sienna they're all fun to play. They're all great. You'll have a great time with any of them, with virtually any combination. If you put in the hours, you'll learn all the tricks, and you'll learn when to attack with what attack, and eventually they all become fun. Now, in my opinion, the most effective, if not the most effective class in the entire game, in terms of build and combination of weapons, is Pyromancer with the Beamstaff. So why is that? Let's just go in. Now, with Beamstaff, since it was nerfed, it's true. I mean, you're not going to be one-shotting pretty much any mob in the game. Not like the Huntsman or like the handgun with other classes. You're not going to be destroying mobs with one hit. And there are classes and certain weapons which you can do that, of course, but not with the Beamstaff. So let's go over the firing modes. You've got your normal beam, which you hold down your left mouse button and you just fire with that. Then you've got your sniper shot, which is holding down your left mouse button, and then while you're holding it down, you click on your right mouse button. So you're pressing, and then boom, boom, boom. See, 3.2k, 3.2k. There are times where you go up to 4.5k, which is great, but you're still not going to be one-shotting mobs with that. I mean, specials, elites, they still need at least, if you're good at headshots, at least 2 headshots, like on Storm Vermin, for example. And then, but generally you're going to be looking at 3 sniper shots. So it's significant. But once you get the hang of it, you can do it fairly quickly. It's not too bad. And then you've got your third firing mode, which is the shotgun, which is basically holding down your right mouse button and then firing. This is mainly for very close range combat. The perfect example being if you get a horde of rats that are just surrounding you and your team, you basically just boom, boom, boom. You kill them, you push them back, and you can get your entire team out of a pickle. So that's the 3 main firing modes for Beamstaff, and then of course the cream, the absolute star of is the Burning Head. Sienna unleashes a fiery projectile that seeks out foes. Now with this, you can one-shot anything, well, except for bosses, obviously. You can one-shot, if you get a crit, you can one-shot a Chaos Warrior. If not, you'll at least stagger them and push them back and drop them onto the ground, and then the rest of the team can kill the Chaos Warrior while it's on the ground. So you've got the 3 firing modes, which they're all fantastic on the Beamstaff, and then you've got the Burning Head, which is your main career skill, which is absolutely amazing. So, playstyle for the Pyromancer with the Beamstaff combo. Your objective is going to be mainly spamming your Burning Head. That is your main objective. That is what you want to achieve. You want to be able to spam your Burning Head as much as possible, every few seconds even. So how do you achieve this? I will be, of course, showing a few clips that will give you an idea of how to play this class. when a horde spawns, of course, what you want to do is, as far away as possible, you want to hold them back with your normal beam attack. Ideally, hitting their heads, because when you hit their heads, you know, it makes a little clicking sound. When you hit the heads, you get more crits, and you get bigger crits. So obviously, the more crits you get, the faster your career cooldown. Jesus, yeah, the faster your career cooldown will go down. Okay, so now that we've gone through Sienna's main attack modes with the beam staff plus the career skill, let's move on to the talents. So for talents, obviously we'll start basic because this is what everybody will have access to once they reach level 30. As you know, you unlock a new tier of talents every 5 levels, until eventually at level 25 you've unlocked everything else. Now, for the first tier, I've gone with Natural Talent, which, compared to the other two, range attack spread, I mean, for Beam Staff you don't really need this at all. Attack speed, again, for Beam Staff this really isn't very important. This is the best of the three. Of course, it's the first tier, so you're not really going to have amazing talents here. But compared to the other two, this is, in my opinion, the way to go. Obviously, the less heat you generate, the more time you can spam your beam staff. Now, 10. For the next one, I've gone with Dissipate. Increases overcharge decay spread when affected by a Grimoire. Speed, not spread, sorry. Obviously, since most of the time you're going to, unless you're doing solo runs, which, I mean, not everybody does that, but I'm sure you'll give it a try at some point. Since you're going to be going with a group most of the times, you are going to be picking up grimoires and tomes, etc. So since you're going to be picking up at least one grim, you definitely want to go with this. I mean, clearly. Ashen Form reduces damage taken while disabled. You shouldn't be taking huge damage. Since you're purely ranged in this case, you're not going to be using your melee weapon very much. Very rarely you're going to be using it. You're pretty much 95% ranged with this combination. So ideally you want to avoid taking damage, since you're going to be farther away from the group, more back, at least behind them most of the time. Unless you're using your shotgun ability with your beam staff. In that case, you want to get in front of your group, push the horde back to clear the way for them. But generally, you're going to be shooting mobs from far away. So at the beginning, without practice, obviously you will be taking damage. And then again, you know, there are assassins which can jump you from anywhere. And with enough experience, you'll be able to avoid them mostly. But you won't always be able to avoid them. So yeah, you will take damage, but not to the point where you're going to be going down so much that you have to reduce your damage taken while you're down. I mean, it doesn't really make sense, to be honest. Then Quickening increases spell charge speed by 25%. Again, you're not going to be below 50% for very long in any case. And even if your number one objective is to always be below 50% health so that your spell charge speed can be increased by 25%, then you're just taking too much of a risk, because you can get one-shotted by a special. So again, no point. This is the way to go, especially in group play. So, for the third tier, Blazing Equilibrium, definitely the way to go. One with the Flame Critical Mass also increases attack speed. Again, attack speed isn't really going to change your life with this combination. Critical Mass also reduces the stamina cost of blocking attacks. You're not going to be blocking very much because, again, you're not going to be using your melee weapon very much, if at all. This is pretty straightforward. Blazing Equilibrium, no doubt. Then, fourth tier, Seething Embers. Okay, so here there are really two viable options. You've got Seething Embers, which is critical hits grant temporary health, and then the other viable option is kills grant temporary health, Soul Snare. Blazing Harvest, forget it, there's really no point. I mean, literally, I don't even know why this talent exists, because it's so circumstantial. You need to get one of these bosses, and they very rarely spawn. Sometimes they don't spawn at all in an entire match. Yeah, there's no point. I would never go for this ever under any circumstance with any type of class, with any build, with any weapon. Never. It's one of these two. Generally, people go for Soul Snare. However, with other classes, you can very easily kill mobs with one hit, especially the weaker mobs. However, with the beam staff, like I said before, you won't really be one-shotting mobs. You'll be critting a lot, small crits, but still crits nonetheless. So you definitely, in this particular case, you would want to go with critical hits grant temporary health. When a horde comes, imagine you're at 50% health, and then a horde spawns, and from far away you use your normal beam attack, and you're getting crits constantly, and you'll see your health bar just fly up with white health. There's really no point in... I mean, yeah, this is a viable option, but in my opinion, for this build, again, I would go for this. Okay, so for the last tier, again, you've got two viable options here. You've got Exhaust. The Burning Head also removes all overcharge. And Fiery Heart reduces the cooldown of Burning Head by 30%. Bonded Flame... no. Again, you shouldn't be taking huge amounts of damage. You've got the other classes, many of them are very melee oriented. They'll be in the front lines, killing stuff, very close range. They'll be taking most of the hits. You shouldn't take very big hits. So this is pretty much, it's not completely useless, but almost. Almost as useless as Blazing Harvest. I imagine that Fat Shark will be tweaking a lot of these talents to make them more viable, but right now, Blazing Harvest, Bonded Flame, there's really no point in going with those. I've gone with Exhaust because, well, again, I want to be spamming the Burning Head, and I'll explain to you how to spam it, of course. I want to be spamming it, and then I want to be spamming my Beam Staff. I want to be spamming both things. So this is a great way to go. Okay, let's move on to the gear now, equipment. I'm using a dagger for melee. Why am I using dagger and not mace, for example, which hits harder and it's better for Chaos Warriors, etc. Well, like I explained before, you're mainly a ranged DPS, which means you're not going to be really getting close to mobs very often. So your melee weapon is really more of a defensive mechanism in case you get overwhelmed by mobs and you're at full overcharge and you're scared of blowing yourself up and your career skill down is still not on cooldown, so you can't get rid of it. And you don't want to cool yourself down so you don't lose health. I mean, your melee weapon in this case is more of a defensive utensil, so to speak. So I choose dagger because, well, mainly because I can, run a bit faster by consuming my stamina shields. In case I have to catch up with a group, maybe I stayed behind to kill a special Blightstormer, which is very far away. I stayed behind to snipe it down, and my group all of a sudden is, 200 feet in front, and I have to get quickly to them before an assassin spawns and tries to take me out. So basically, I'll use this to go a bit faster, and I can catch up to them. And then, of course, your typical defense, which is to block. And then if you're ogre dancing is basically if an ogre boss spawns, which is here, a rat ogre, basically, which is the big rat ogre boss. If he spawns, you can tank him when he's hitting you. You just block, you dodge backwards, then you move forward, you hit him on the head. When he hits, dodge backwards again. This is the ogre dance, as they call it. So it's helpful for that. Also, again, if you get a Chaos Warrior and your team is having difficulty taking it down, you can also get close and just use your heavy attack on it, on the head, of course, never on the body. Ideally, you always want to go for the head. But generally speaking, your melee weapon isn't crucial. It's helpful, but you don't depend on it. And then beam staff, of course, this is the main the main weapon, the main everything in this build. So the combination, like we spoke earlier, is beam staff in order to reduce your cooldown of your career skill, which is the burning head. So in this particular case, this is a crit heavy build, so I've gone for 5% crit chance. I have a red or veteran weapon, so I always get the maximum percentage or for the properties. So I got a 5% crit in this chance and 20% crit power. You know, you could go with other options, but at least ideally you want to go with crit chance and then something else which you might find more useful. Or I just went with crit power because, you know, why not? You know, my crits are a bit better. And then, but the most important thing is your weapon talent, which in this case is resourceful sharpshooter, which is ranged critical hits reduces the remaining cooldown of your career skill by 2%. Okay, this is huge. This is huge. Basically, everything revolves around this particular talent and your burning head with a beam staff. Since you're going to be, if a horde spawns, you're going to be taking them out from ranged, hitting their heads constantly, and then once your career, and this will reduce the cooldown of your career skill very quickly. I've had situations where my career skill down, I would shoot, and then I would hit the heads. Lots of rats coming in a horde. You just keep hitting their heads. Ideally, you can always hit their bodies, but you're going to get less crits generally. And my career skill cooldown has been reduced by, I mean, to 1 second literally. After 1 second of shooting my burning head, I had it up again. It's insane, basically. During a horde, you can spam your burning head. I mean, I've gotten up to maybe 10 times, which is just ridiculous. And with the burning head, not only do you kill horde rats, but you also have a chance to kill any specials that might spawn inside, or you know, that might be hiding inside the horde. You might get an assassin, you might get a rat pack. They're difficult to see sometimes because they're blocked by other mobs. So they're great. And also if you get maybe a Chaos Warrior or two and then you get a horde, you can use your burning head to kill the Chaos Warriors quickly and focus on the horde. So this is everything about this build and class revolve around the beam staff with that talent on your beam staff, resourceful sharpshooter, and burning head. It's such an efficient and effective build that you'll basically be able to help your team out with everything. Anything that the game throws at you, you'll be able to help out your team. You'll be able to protect them. You'll be able to help them not get overwhelmed by heavier mobs. It's just, it's incredible all around. I highly recommend you use this. Of course, will you be spamming your burning head from the get-go? I mean, it takes a bit of practice, of course, like every class, as you can imagine, and every weapon. But once you get the hang of it, you'll just be destroying everything, and you'll make legend runs super easy. Again, of course, I forgot to mention this, but I am referring to legend difficulty at all times. I mean, below legend difficulty, champion, veteran, recruit. The truth is, you can take any class with any weapon, with any talent build, and you'll still destroy everything because it's just super easy. Once you get to legend, though, it's much harder. The jump from champion to legend is just pretty insane. It's so much more difficult. So you want to be as efficient and as effective as possible. You want to be able to help out your team. And in my opinion, with Sienna at least, this is the way to go. Without a doubt. I mean, yes, there's the fireball staff, which is great fun to use. I love it. You do a lot of damage with it. But if you want to be super efficient and effective, you want to be able to kill hordes from far away before they even get to the team. You want to be able to kill everything from far away before they get a chance to take health from you or your team. Personally, I believe this is definitely the way to go. Okay, so now the weapons are basically done. The rest of the gear, I mean, for necklace, this is pretty much the meta. This is basically what most people use, stamina and percent health. Obviously, the more health you have, the longer it takes for you to go down and the more hits you can withstand. The 2 stamina is fantastic because you get 2 extra stamina shields on your melee weapon. So you now have 4. Usually I would have 2. But this is great because then I can, again, like I explained earlier, I can go faster for longer. So yeah, I mean, generally you're going to be using this with every class in the game and every build, pretty much. Charm. I've gone for crit power and power versus chaos. Power versus chaos because, well, why not, really? You can go with Skaven. You can forget about crit power and go with power versus chaos and power versus Skaven. There are many combinations, most of them viable, depending on what you want, what you need. But in my particular case, I've gone for chaos and crit power. Oh, I forgot to explain the talent on the necklace. I've gone for a 25% chance to not consume healing item on use. This is great to have. For me, I would either go with that or with a Spoon of Shalia. Increases effectiveness of healing on you by 30%. This is actually pretty amazing because not only do you heal yourself more, obviously by 30% with a health pot or a health pack, but this also affects your white health, your temporary health. So when you get a crit, you gain more temporary health, 30% more temporary health for every crit. I didn't go with this in particular because I'm critting so much that I already get my temporary health up very quickly, so it's not really going to make a big difference, but it's helpful. And with what I have now with Healer's Touch, this is more of a contribution to the team because, you know, I can consume a potion or a pack and then maybe in that consumption I don't actually consume it, and therefore I have an extra pack or a health pot for one of my other team members. So it's really more for that. Or maybe I heal myself and it's just not enough and I proc, I get an extra health pack or health pot, and then I can keep that for when I get hit again, or if I don't have enough health at that point, I can just consume it again. So both of these options are fantastic. And then Charm again. Talent, Decanter, increase the duration of potions by 50%. So for Pyromancer and Beamstaff with this particular build I'm explaining, I would generally use Concentration Potion because I can spam. If we get a boss and we don't have anything else, I won't be getting my career skill back very quickly because, you know, I just can't spam my Beamstaff with crits on a horde or whatever to get it almost instantly back. You know, we just have one big mob and I have to depend on maybe critting it on the head or just constantly spamming my staff on it. It just goes up too slowly. So what this helps you do is that you get a concentration potion, you use it, and then you can spam Burning Head 4 or 5 times at least, which is great. Trinket. Trinket, this is also like the necklace. This is also pretty much the meta. This is generally what most people are using. Curse resistance, unless you're doing solo runs or very difficult deeds where you're not picking up Grims or Grimoires, you can go with something else, but generally speaking, you're always going to go with your friends or with some random people, and you are going to be picking up Grims and Tomes. So ideally you want to get as much curse resistance as possible so you lose less health every time you pick up a Grim. And again, this is a heavy crit build, so I've gone with a crit chance. So now I'm getting 10% crit chance, which is great. Talent for the Trinket, Grenadier, 25% chance to not consume grenade on use. This is, you can go for this or this, Shrapnel, which is grenades cause hit enemies to take 20% increased damage for 10 seconds. This is also great, but I already have people in my team that use this talent, so I don't really have to. That's why I take this more. That way there's a good chance I won't consume my grenade. So if we get a Chaos Patrol or a Storm Vermin Patrol, you just take out your grenade, you throw it into the group, you maybe kill 3 mobs, you just destroy everything, you stagger many others, maybe you don't consume that grenade, you take it out again, And then you kill another 3, you stagger everything, and they don't stand a chance. It's really good. So either of these two are great options. The Grenadier talent is mainly for bosses. You know, when you get to the end of a level and there's a boss, or you get one of those random bosses you get during the level, you throw a grenade, and then for the next 10 seconds they take increased damage. So, and this applies to all of your team members. So everybody will be doing more damage, and the boss will go down faster. So it's really fantastic. So that's pretty much for the gear. This is what I'm using now. Are those the ideal stats or properties to use on everything? It's maybe not. It works for me. There are other options you can use, but this is what I'm using. This is what I would recommend. For melee, again, it doesn't make a huge difference what properties you use. Again, I went for a 5% crit chance. For the talent swift slaying, I mean, it doesn't make a huge difference, because again, you're not going to be using your melee weapon very much with this build. Remember, you're mostly a ranged class in this particular case. You depend 95% on your beam stuff. I've slowed down this clip so you can see everything a bit better. Okay, so here I'm with my team, we're at an intersection, and I see a small patrol coming towards us, so I start taking them out. Sniper shot, take them down one by one, because they're a bit stronger, those mobs, so I have to sniper them down. And that's when I noticed we get a silent horde, so I turn around on my left, and our objective is to get back into that room. So I use my shotgun to clear the way. I turn around, I use my burning head to clear whatever was left behind. That way Barden was a bit safer and he has nothing around. Again, I wait for him to come back, and then I push forward. I change to my melee weapon just to defend myself. Again, remember, it's defensive. And then I start clearing the horde again. You can see that the others are standing on the sides, that way nobody gets in the way of each other's firing. So here, I push again with my shotgun. Here I try to get my burning head back. Now we should get a Packmaster. Here, there's the Packmaster, burning head, dead. Another Packmaster, sniper shot, dead. So everything seems clear, but now we get another mini horde from behind, and I decide to push forward to clear it so we don't get overwhelmed. Push them back, and as you can see, I already have my burning head again. I shoot it, I kill the warp Pyromancer, and that's it. And in this next clip, you can see we just got a horde horn, so we're here waiting. I'm waiting with Kruber while they get the Grim, and you can see they're coming in from far. So I get my career skill up, I fire, get it back up. Look how quickly it's going back up. It's just insane how fast it goes. Again, we fire it again. I fire, look, already 1 second. I don't even know if that was 1 second. I get it back, fire again. It's just ridiculous. The horde doesn't even get close to us. That's how effective this is. We can just clear them out slowly without having to worry. And that's it. How simple. And in the last clip, this is the boss at the end of the map. Basically, we're about to pull the boss, and what I want to do is I want to get this little group slowly. I want to shoot with just my basic beam so I can get my career skill back. I use my potion, in this case strength, because I didn't have a concentration potion. I fire, look how much health I took down. Grenade, and I just keep firing. The boss is already at half health. Of course, having Kruber with Huntsman on the team helps a lot. But look at that. He doesn't take damage once he starts going up again. My career skill is back up. Fire, dead. Sniper shots on the head if possible, one after the other. Boss is down. I mean, the boss literally had no time to react. He didn't even look, he practically didn't even get to the end of the bridge. Okay, so this is a scoreboard. As you can see, damage taken. Look how little damage I took, 265. I mean, that's almost nothing for legend difficulty. It's practically nothing at all. This is a clip from the war camp. We're at the last boss now. So One of my friends has shrapnel on his grenade, so he's gonna throw it. He's gonna stagger the boss. I'm gonna throw my burning head. I stagger him again. I use concentration potion. I wait for the recharge, stagger again. I wait for the recharge, throw my burning head, stagger again. Wait for the recharge, burning head again, stagger the boss. Burning head again, stagger the boss. They throw a grenade, they stagger him again, another grenade, stagger him again. I give my grenade to my friend who has shrapnel, so he receives more damage. And as you can see, now is when ads start coming out, so I focus on them because the boss is basically dead. There's nothing more I can really contribute to the boss. I mean, the boss is laying on the ground. The other guys do much more damage than me with their melee weapons, so there's really no point for me to focus on that. But as you can see, the boss literally didn't hit anybody at any time. He was on the ground the entire fight. That's how powerful Burning Head is. That's why this build is focused around your cooldown on Burning Head and just spamming Burning Head all the time. That does it to every single mob. If it doesn't kill a mob, it'll stagger them like a Chaos Warrior. If you do not kill a Chaos Warrior in the first hit with a Burning Head, it means it hasn't crit, but it throws the Chaos Warrior on the ground and he's just staggered. Like the boss there, he was on the ground, and then your friends come in, or your teammates, whatever, and they just finish him off on the floor. Very powerful. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful. Maybe this will convince you to try out this build. It's great fun, a lot of fun, very helpful, very efficient, very effective. You'll make legend runs much easier for your team. And of course, if your team members also know what they're doing, then that, as you can imagine, helps quite a lot. But if you found it helpful, well, please like, please subscribe, and hopefully I should have another guide in the near future for another class. Thanks everyone. Bye bye.